Okay, so today I'm going to present you the external enumeration methodology. I'm Iulian Schifirnet. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a senior penetration tester at Data Core Systems. I'm a red teamer by Daycraft. I have a couple of certifications, achievements, and I hope you like the presentation today. So what's going to be this presentation about? It's going to refer to a set of techniques used to catalog the exposed assets and potential vulnerabilities of an organization from the external point of view. This process is crucial in understanding the organization's attack surface, which includes all the entry points that could be exploited by the attackers from outside the network. So we are going to have 4 phases: the asset phase, recon phase, scanning, and the most interesting one, the profit phase. What's the inspiration about this presentation? So it was inspired by challenges faced by time-constrained assessments, where, for example, if a client wants to test the whole domain, which has a lot of subdomains, we need to have a perfect and efficient methodology in order to test all the endpoints. So this guide is tailored for such high-pressure assessments that will help everybody in order to optimize and prioritize their methodologies. Also, the structure of the presentation, since it's a technical, practical session, the demo may depend on the time available of the presentation. I designed it this way because when attending to cybersecurity events, I often find presentations that are interesting, but lack the depth of resources to start learning directly by them. So this presentation aims to fill that gap and offer you a resource that you can take away, study, and refine your own methodology. The first step in starting the external enumeration is the note keeping, which is overlooked aspect of enumeration, because with proper documentation of findings, tool outputs, and steps, it ensures thoroughness and prevents critical details from being missed. Also, despite its importance, note keeping is frequently neglected, yet is the key to turning raw data into actionable insights for successful outcomes. And for this, we have Notion and Obsidian. I think you are familiar with it. Are 2 tools, in my opinion, the best 2 tools for note keeping. We have Notion that I can show you right now, where you can have a lot of information in a very structured way. I also have this repo publicly linked in my LinkedIn, so you can download it from there, where you can have all kinds of information. For example, if I want to quickly search for targeted Kerberos roasting, I can go on Notion, search for it, and I will have all kinds of information for it. Of course, you need to craft it, but it's a very, very nice tool. And we have also Obsidian, which I use for the blogging stuff, because I can copy very fast the information from there. And it's also a very structured tool. So we are going to start with the phases. We have the asset phase, which refers to any component of organization's IT infrastructure that is accessible from the outside the network. We have the recon phase, where it refers to the process of gathering information about the organization's external assets and potential vulnerabilities. We have the scanning phase, which refers to actively probing and examining an organization's publicly accessible systems to discover detailed information about their configuration, services, open ports, and potential vulnerabilities. And the profit phase, where you are going to report the bugs and you are going to get the money. For the asset phase, for the profiling of the organization, we are going to use some public tools. And for the example, we are going to use Tesla because it has a public bug bounty program with a broad scope, and we can use it without any legal problems. And we have a BGP toolkit which provides DNS records, IP addresses, and ASNs. I will show you what an ASN is in a couple of seconds. We have open corporates, where we can gather information about the corporate information, addresses, associated domains, and so on. IPDB.me, where we have the IP address allocations and related details, for example, network blocks and connected infrastructure. DNS Dumpster, which I like this tool a lot, which provides Tesla DNS infrastructure, subdomains, potential vulnerabilities, and stuff like that. And we also have Visual Ping, a tool that monitors live the website changes and I will show you a cool trick for bounty with it. For the demo, I will only show the screenshots because I want to get to the demo part at the end. With BGP Toolkit, we can see all kinds of authorities, name servers, mail exchangers, TXT records, which gives us DNS records, IP addresses, ASNs, and the network infrastructure. What is an ASN? ASN is a unique identifier assigned to a network group or group of networks under the control of a single organization, such as an ISP, data center, or enterprise. So why is that important? Because it helps us identifying the range of IP addresses allocated with the specific organization. It allows penetration testers to focus on their publicly exposed network infrastructure. And also, it reveals relationships between networks, like providers and subsidiaries. And for this, we can use tools like ASN Lookup, Shodan, bgpview.io, and such of tools. I'll show you in a couple of seconds. And also ASN Map, which is a tool created by the Project Discovery Group. They have a lot of tools that I will show you through this presentation. In my opinion, you really need to know those tools because are the base of the external enumeration methodology. We also have open corporates, which tells us the details about the open corporates. I will show you in 1 second. Okay. 1 second, open corporates, like this. For Tesla. Okay, and we get a lot of companies where we can search, see their succursals, companies, and LLCs, and stuff like that. With this information, we can go then to the ipdb.me in order to get to their IP allocations, network blocks, and the details of the infrastructure. And we also have Digger tools, which is an awesome tool that discover hidden subdomains, domain information, and also asset mapping. And DNS Dumpster that I will show you. In my opinion, this is the most important tool from this presentation because you can get a lot of information like subdomains, hidden subdomains. You'll get a nicely graph. I think everybody is familiar with it. This is the graph that you can download it and scan it, use it for the enumeration. You also have the subdomains, which some of them are hidden. Also with the IP allocations, block allocations, and the ASN names. Okay. And the trick that I told you earlier with the visual ping that I will show you is that you can create a custom system where once the website changes, their front-end changes, you can create a system that will notify you on Discord or Slack or email what you want. And in this image, you'll have an example when a new subdomain appears, for example, in this case in HackerOne, it will give you a message on Discord. So you'll know at any time which new subdomains appear, and you can go there to be the first to scan it. And for the leak credential phase, this is an interesting phase. It refers to identifying compromised or leaked credentials associated with the target organization. In this case, as I choose the Tesla, we have the following tools. We have I Been Pwned, Intelligence X, Phone Book, and Dehashed. Have I Been Pwned, I think everybody is familiar with it. You can search emails, email addresses, phone numbers, I think, in order to find if that specific email is compromised. And we also have Intelligence X, that is a more complex tool that you can find data breaches, compromised emails, exposed passwords, assets, and so on. I'll show you this trick for Intelligence X. We are going to search for Tesla. If we search for Tesla, we can see that they have a lot of leaks. For example, we are going to go to the users leaks, but I won't show you because it's not okay. For example, we have the leaks restricted. We're going to search again. Not like this. 1 second. Leaks restricted. Okay, and now you'll have leaks, password leaks, email leaks, and stuff like that. I'm going to show you an example from the compilation. And here you can see tons of leaked emails from, if you search for Tesla, for example, in this JSON file or TXT files, we can see that Kirk has a leaked credential. And also phone book, where you can grab all tons of email addresses, domains, and or URLs. In a second. For example, if you search for tesla.com, we are going to see a lot of emails that then we can add to our notes and start looking for them. For example, if Penny has a leaked email address or passwords, let's try. And in this case, yeah, we can see that this user Penny has a leak with the following password that later we can use in order to use it on a login form or something like that and get a reversal maybe somewhere. And Dehashed, which is the same tool like Intelligence X, but has more or less information than Intelligence X. And for the information gathering phase, we are going to use the X engines, like I like to call them, which are some advanced search engines that they'll help us to quickly identify low-hanging fruit vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and other valuable data, like exposed servers, ports, interesting files, and other crucial information with precision. So for this, we are going to use Shodan, Chances, FOFA, Zumai, Criminal IP, and LeakX. I think everybody knows Shodan. In this case, we searched for Tesla.com, and we saw that only 9 results appeared. But since Shodan uses some custom keywords, if you are going to use them, you're going to get more information on Tesla's domain. So with Shodan, we can use you can use it for Internet of Things, publicly accessible devices, servers, services, vulnerabilities, and misconfigurations. With Chances, you can also search for exposed services, SSL certificates, critical assets, and vulnerabilities. And it also shows you a custom structured way for example, autonomous systems, remote access, IPs, and stuff like that. And we have also FOFA, which is the same thing like Shodan, which allows us to see IPs, domains, services, assets, and entry points. This is a better solution because since it's also free and it also shows us the vulnerable subdomains. Zumai also, which shows us devices, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and we also have a deep search in order to find, for example, if you want to search for a country or stuff like that. Criminal IP, which shows us internet asset visibility, security risks, and exposed assets. And LeakX, which is a very cool tool that you can search directly for exposed data, leaked files, vulnerable services, and security issues. I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds. X engines, and we have LeakX. And if we search for Tesla, we are going to see that it comes with 4 results. This IP, okay, this is from Russia, has a vulnerability with some config JSON HTTP is exposed, but I think so. This is a honeypot. And what I told you earlier about ASNs, you can search based on ASN. For example, I want to search based on this ASN. And I can find vulnerable services. I forgot the query. 1 second. ASN. This? No, okay. Let me go back. Like this. And we can search based on ASNs and find vulnerable websites, subdomains, services, and stuff like that. So it's a very cool tool. And we also have Odin, which is a pretty new advanced search engine, which allow us to see the open source intelligence, subdomain enumeration, network mapping, threat intelligence, data aggregations, and also it has an AI component where it can find based on keywords. For example, if you search for Tesla, it will also search on Telegram groups and stuff like that, and it's a free solution. For the scanning phase enumeration, we have, once we get the domain, for example, we have an engagement where we need to scan the domain. Of course, we are going to start with the subdomain enumeration because it's a crucial part where we need to map the subdomains associated with the target organization, which will reveal additional attack surfaces and potential entry points. We are going to have domain flyovers. For example, if you search for Tesla subdomains, we are going to have like 500 subdomains or something like that. And if we have a time constraint again, it's like 1 week, we can't manually check all of them. So we'll need some tools in order to check all of them very fast. We'll have also the technology discovery, which will allow us to identify the technologies, frameworks, platforms used by the target, helping to understand the underlying infrastructure and potential vulnerabilities. We'll have the web server enumeration, which is a step in every type of penetration test, where we are going to search for server details, configurations, potential vulnerabilities that could be exploited. We are going to have the vulnerability scanning, which will allow us to uncover unknown or known vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, security weaknesses across the target's assets. And extras, I will show you some cool tricks. For the subdomain enumeration phase, we have a lot of tools, but the most important tool that I really like is Bbot. It's a tool created by Black Lantern Security, which allows you to search through all the subdomains, and you also use some tools. But in order to maximize your scan, you also need to use all the API keys that you need to configure. It also has a Docker component that you can run very fast. I'll show you in a couple of seconds how it works. Okay. So Docker, yes. Okay, I don't have it here. I need to run it again. But as you can see from this graph, Bbot, it's the best tool that you can use for subdomain enumeration. If you configure it the proper way, you are going to have a lot of subdomains that also are hidden, and then you can later use for your enumeration. We also have SubFinder, Asset Finder, Chero, Amas, which are some tools from project discovery that I told you earlier. The SubFinder, maybe you know it. And we also have Alteryx, which allows you to permutate the subdomains in order to create a new subdomains. Not this. Alteryx. Where based on a word list, you can permutate them. For example, if we have www.example.com, it will create a custom list with 20 permutations, but you can create more. So with this list, you can then later scan for subdomains and see which of them are available and which of them are crucial. And once we have the subdomains, we need to see which of them are active or not, because if we are going to use the Bbot tool, like I told you earlier, maybe this is the subdomain list, and it has a lot of subdomains, but we need to make sure and check them to make sure we use only the subdomains that are active. And for this, we are going to use a tool called DNSX, also from Project Discovery, that will probe them and see which of them are active. And for this, it's a very simple syntax. We have the tools for subdomain enumeration and DNSX. We just give it DNSX and we'll test which subdomains are active right now. And for example, if we take warehouse.tesla.com, we'll see that it's available. And in order to see the difference, okay, cut Bbot, and we can see that we have 508 subdomains, and for ASD, we only have 472. So some domains are right now inactive or down. And for the domain flyovers, like I told you earlier, since we have a lot of subdomains, we can't test them manually, and we need some custom tools. And for that, we are going to use Sniper, Hackathon, or GoWitness, which are the best tools for this, which will conduct high-level assessments on the target subdomains, which will identify key assets, services for the infrastructure. And I will show you right now. And we have the examples for Hackathon. I ran them earlier for you, so you won't wait. And Hackathon will create a report. And it will also create a graph that you can use and see what subdomains use a certain IP or technologies, as you can see here. If I want to see which subdomains use, for example, Amazon CloudFront, we can grab this and see that this subdomain uses it, this subdomain, and so on. And it will also screenshot every subdomain. I'm going to show you from the screenshots. Akamai, for example. And it will go to the page and screenshot every subdomain from that list. Of course, some subdomains require some special login, so yeah. But it will screenshot every subdomain, and you'll have it there. And it will also do some kind of web technology scraping. For example, if we want to see what technologies this, for example, subdomain uses it, we can use the details and see headers, versions, and stuff like that. We can see the server, it's in Nginx. And it will automatically do this for every subdomain. And for the technology discovery, where we want to see what technologies does that subdomain have, we can use the WhatWeb or HTTPX, which is another tool created by the project discovery guys, which will allow us to see detailed information about the underlying technologies and configurations. And WhatWeb, it will allow us to see the HTML content, the header, the HTTP responses, and the web traffic to identify technologies. For example, content management systems, web servers, and various web application frameworks. I'm going to show you how HTTPX looks like. If we check this HTTPX, this is how HTTP looks. Let me open it better. You can see the status code of the application. You can see what technology it uses. Sometimes you'll find IPs, some leaked stuff. And you can also find, using HTTPX, you can also search for leak credentials, or not leak credentials, hidden services and content. For example, if we take the subfinder subdomains list, we can parse it to HTTPX, technology discovery, HTTPX, and we can also find search for, let's say, /Joomla or something like that. And it will automatically go to every subdomain. It will append the path that we want, and it will also check if there is Joomla or not. For example, API Firebolt is giving us a 403 forbidden status code. Some of them we can see that here it gives us a 2200 status code, which indicates that it might be a possible Joomla, but we of course need to test it and see if there is really a Joomla or not. We have also redirect codes that we also need to check, but if we give it the follow redirect argument, it will get rid of those examples. In this case, you can see that it's giving us an out login redirect URL, but it's not interesting. And yeah, right now it's not finding any Joomla endpoints. But as you can see, it gives you web technology, status codes, and stuff that is really important for the external enumeration phase. For the web server enumeration, once we find interesting subdomain, we want to make sure that we test it with all the tools and to make sure that there is no vulnerability there, or maybe it is, but we want to make sure that we tested everything. So for this, we are going to use, for directory listing, we are going to use FF and GoBuster. For parameter discovery, we are going to use also FF and Arjun, which is an awesome tool that will do some passive crawling and discovery. And for the interesting files, like I showed you earlier, we can use HTTPX, for example, for leaky paths, that will allow us to search for leaked paths. For example, if there is a PHP info file or there is a passwords.txt file, backups, we can use this. I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds. We can copy this. This is still running, leaky.txt. And we can use this for leaky.txt. And it will go through each line from the leaky.txt, and it will show us that if there is some leaked files or not. For the URL extraction, because this is a very important step, once we find the subdomain, we also need to test and see if the URLs are good or patched, because maybe with one of those tools, we can search for SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and stuff like that. And I will show you in a second. Yeah, this is going to take a while, so unfortunately I can't show you, but you can test it. And for URL extraction, for GAU. This is going to extract every URL from that specific subdomain, and it will also use some web archive components that it will give you some new or old URLs. And for example, it will find you robots.txt, or maybe you can create a custom system that once you will get the URL, you can parse it to another tool and test, for example, this for SQL injections. This is an example. Also for the web server enumeration, if we see a CMS, we can scan it with CMS-seek. We can test it for subdomain takeover with a cool tool made by EduOverflow. And also for the URL extraction, we can use Get.js, which will extract all the JavaScript files. Link Finder, which will also do that, which will extract all the URLs for that subdomain. And like I told you, once you get the URL, you can search for SQL injection and stuff like that. You can use GF that will search for patterns in that URL, and it will test it if there is a SQL injection or not. And for the word list generation, you can use Churl. It will grab all the words from that specific web server and create a custom word list that you can later use in order to enumerate the web server. Another cool thing that you can do is favicon hunting. We are going to use FaviHunter, which is specialized in finding websites with that specific favicon. For example, if we want to search for GitLab instances, we can use the favicon tool in order to find the GitLab instances across the whole internet. FaviHunter again. FaviHunter. No, I need to use Poetry. Run FaviHunter, and about GitLab.com. Okay, now it's going to work. And it will look for the favicon in about.gitlab.com. And for example, if we take this URL, tiny URL for Shodan, it will allow us to see which instances on GitLab of GitLab are present on Shodan. If it's no, I need to log in. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to take the chances one. And we can see that 4 instances use GitLab on Hong Kong, India, United States, and another one for United States. This is a quick run in order to find instances. You can use this for every kind of web server if it has favicon. And once you do that, you can search on the entire internet or Shodan and all other advanced search engines. Another cool thing is Google Dorking, which some of you might be familiar with it. We can search for exposed assets directly from on Google. If we are going to use GHDB, and in this case, I'll show you the example with the exposed env file. Env. Okay. And as you can see here, we have some web servers that have the env file exposed. If we are going to go on it, we can see images. Sometimes you can see credentials. But yeah, you need to use this on a public bug bounty program, not on every website. And we can see that we have a lot of those instances here. For example, on this site edu, we have nothing really. But sometimes you can find passwords, leaked credentials, services, and stuff like that. And for the word list, in my opinion, the Asset Node word list platform is the best because it offers special design word list for security testing scenarios, including directory and file enumeration. And the word list is updated regularly to include common and emerging patterns, enhancing the accuracy and efficiency of enumeration efforts. I'm going to show you right now. Asset Node word lists. I have it there. So this word list, those word lists are updated and generated again on the 28th each month. So you are going to have constantly updated word list that you can use for your scanning. You can search for subdomains, or for example, not here, here, or maybe not here, yeah, subdomains. 2 million subdomains generated only from GitHub and BigQuery, and you can use them with other word lists or your custom word list. For the vulnerability scanning, we have the tools Nuclei, Caridi, Nikto, Nessus, Akunetics, and W3AFE, which is a web application attack and audit framework. But Nuclei, in my opinion, is the best because it's a fast and customizable vulnerability that uses YAML customizable files, which is another tool created by Project Discovery. I'm not. No, not this. Okay, 1 second. Which you can scan the entire subdomains list and get the information, all vulnerabilities, and test from here. Output. I don't have an image right now. Or I had, yeah. So this is how the tools look. Once you have the subdomain list, you can parse it to Nuclei, and we will test it with a lot of templates. For example, for SQL injection, leaked files, also leaked credentials, and all kinds of vulnerabilities. We also have Caridi, which is an open source vulnerability test scanner. Nikto, which everybody knows. Nessus, which is used to perform detailed assessments to identify vulnerabilities. Akunetics, which is also a tool like Nessus. And the web application attack and audit framework, which is also a free tool that you can use. But as I said, Nuclei is the best tool, in my opinion, that you can use. And for the enumeration extras, we have Updog, Poundrop, and Uncover. Updog is a tool that will allow you to secure a web server and spawn an alternative like Python HTTP server, which will allow you to download your custom payloads or anything you want. Drop, which is used for red teaming assessments. It will deploy a secure hosting service for your red teaming assessment, which allows you to host files and tools securely during penetration testing engagements. And Uncover, which allows you to use Google Docs downloaded from the Google Dorking platform from here, and you can parse them to Uncover and search the docs from all the internet. And also we have some cool liners that I will show you if we have enough time. This is an example of one-liner, which is used for testing if that specific URLs are vulnerable to XCC, not XCC, cross-site scripting, sorry. It will use the wayback URL binary, which will parse then to KRS replace, and it will replace what is after the equal sign, and it will test it with a simple cross-site scripting payload. And it will iterate through all the subdomain list and the URL list, and you can find something interesting with it. And the profit phase for the poundage. Once we find something like that, recently I found something on Tesla's public bug bounty using really one-liner, where I found a cross-site scripting in like 10 minutes just using by a one-liner. So it was pretty crazy, yeah. And the profit phase is when you find a bug, you are going to report it, and you are going to get the money. This is what's interesting. And I have an example, which is from another program that I found. It was a cockpit CMS NoSQL injection vulnerability. They had a cockpit CMS on a web server that I found using HTTPX and also Nuclei. I got all the subdomains, all the URLs, and once I had them, I parsed them to Nuclei, and after 3 hours of running a tool, I found this bug, which was very impactful, and I got a lot of money from it. And that's why you really need to have a very good methodology, because for this specific bug, I worked like maybe 2 hours in order to have everything prepared. And once I had everything prepared, I just parsed all to Nuclei, and it found a bug. And for the resources, we have a very cool list of resources that you can use, and also inspired my presentation from them, are the pentest book by CZEX, exploit notes, which offer web basic pentesting, but it has a lot more. Pentesting Everything, which is a web guide by ViperOne, which also covers a wide range of web pentesting topics. Internet All the Things Bug Bounty Methodology. It's a methodology based on internal bug bounty, like this presentation, and also the Hacker Recipes, which is based on WebRecon. This is everything. I hope you liked it, and yeah, if you have some questions for it.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So we're ready for 3 to 4 questions. Already one there. Please keep your hand up so my colleague can see you. There you go. Please stand up when you ask your questions,
sure,
so our speaker can see you as well.
Yeah, great presentation. Thanks for it. My question was, when you're doing bug bounty or you want to start with a new target or something, what's your go-to thing? What do you start with? Because let's say you're just scanning things and you find a lot of subdomains or something, and there's lots of information and maybe you're overwhelmed by it?
It depends on the bug bounty scope. For example, in this case, Tesla has a very wide scope.
Yeah.
And in this case, I was able to use the subdomain enumeration methodology, get the subdomains, and from there, like I presented you, get the URLs, scan for leaked credentials, also used the advanced search engines. And after I got everything for example, the URLs, I was managed to parse those to the nuclei, for example, and get some, maybe something. But it depends on the scope. Yeah.
And well, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. Next question. Keep your hand up over there. Just 1 sec. In 3, 2.
Thank you. Great presentation, all that stuff. A question I think everyone has. The presentation was very information-packed. Are you going to make the slides available to us so we have all the...
Yeah. As I said in the beginning, you will be able to download it, or I am going to give it to you, because I made this for more like a learning guide presentation that you can take it and learn from it and improve your methodology. That's why it wasn't like a really demo presentation. Yeah, I wanted, so after this presentation, you'll be able to take it and learn from it directly.
Perfect, thank you.
You'll also be able to see all of the DefCamp presentations, I mean the video recorded versions of them, in a couple of weeks after the conference. Next question, come on, we have like time for 1 or 2 questions. One over here, I'll just give you my mic.
For a penetration test exercise, what percentage of time should be allocated for this kind of enumeration in order to get good results?
Again, it depends on the scope. In this case, since Tesla has a lot of subdomains, you will really need to do this kind of work because you can't manually test every subdomain, every web server, and so on. So you'll need to have a refined methodology, for example, like this one, where you can test a lot of subdomains, web servers in a short period of time. So you can invest, in this case, like I found a bug in Tesla's program. I had like 1 or 2 hours in it, but it depends on what you want to find, and yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Any more questions? We do have time for 1 more. If we don't have a question, I have one. Okay, so I'll just go ahead.
Thank you.
So your presentation talked about penetration testing at scale, but you used bug bounty hunting and penetration testing at scale interchangeably. Do you differentiate between the two, or are they kind of the same to you?
At the end of the day, it depends on the scope. If you have, for example, a domain, let's say a client comes to you and he wants to test all the subdomains on the domain, you're going to approach it like a bug bounty because you have a lot of assets and a short period of time where you need to test them. So at the end of the day, bug bounty and penetration testing it's different on the scope. If you have a web server, you're going to approach it like a normal web penetration test. But if you're going to have a domain or something bigger, you're going to approach it like a bug bounty and then maybe elaborate on specific subdomains or web servers.